All the beasts, the Beast Master of the Underworld Chapter 1 Sizzle. The sound in his ear made Sumyu slowly open his eyes. In addition to the eerie sound, there was also a wet and cold feeling in his hand. However, the moment he opened his eyes, he almost fainted again. Right in front of his eyes, a small snake with irregular marks of earth yellow and brown yellow on its body wrapped around his wrist and looked at himself. Among the triangular head and the inverted triangular eyes, the orange-yellow vertical pupils looked at themselves like this. Sizzle, as if sensing his own awakening, Sumyu actually saw a glimmer of excitement in the eyes of this small earth-yellow snake in front of him, which was only the length of his arm. Then, in Sumyu's stunned eyes, this figure slowly stood up straight on the back of his hand, slightly swaying his body, as if to convey his excitement. Sumyu was suddenly stunned. He felt that something in his mind was passing on to him. Imperial Beast? Imperial Beast Master? Macular Snake? Sumyu's eyes slowly lit up again, and he looked at this little earth-yellow snake in front of him who was extremely happy and dancing the snake dance. Obviously, he is not a man of this world. It's just that Sumyu couldn't understand why he had slept on Earth and come to this world and become a person with the same name as himself. Yanhuang Ancient Country, a high school senior in the second experiment of Chongyang district of Shancheng, is about to graduate. Thinking of this, Sumyu was shocked in his heart, and quickly subconsciously stretched out his hand and looked at the reflection of the mobile phone. He was relieved. Fortunately, his peerless handsome face had no effect or change. However, it is obvious that this scene has made the people around them show a wisp of sympathy. It's really pitiful. I didn't expect Sumyu to have such a bad mentality. Isn't it that the first contract pet beast is a yellow-spotted snake? I just passed out, and now it seems that there is still some problem with my spirit? That's what you said. Why don't you try to replace the Imperial Beast? The yellow spot snake is recognized by the whole Yanhuang country as the worst batch of initial pet beasts, and it is stronger than the big green worm. No way, we ordinary families can't afford to buy high-end pet animal eggs, and no one takes them to the wild contract to capture pet beasts, so we can only use random pet beast eggs from school. Hey, I wish I could contract a nice pet beast. Otherwise, if the awakening talent is useless, it will be completely destroyed. The sound of discussion in his ears made Sumyu come back to his senses, and he only then moved his gaze away and looked to the side, and at this look, he saw a beautiful face. Sumyu, are you all right? It doesn't matter if the initial pet beast qualification is almost the same. The most important thing for the Royal Beast Master is to look at the talent. I believe that your talent is certainly extraordinary. Sumyu returned to his senses slightly, which completely fused the memories in his mind. He smiled slightly. It doesn't matter. Thank you, Mr. Chen. Chen. Xiao Xiao looked at Sumyu, who had returned to normal, with some concern, but he was even more worried. Sumyu slowly looked at the yellow spot snake in front of him again. He was also a little helpless, so he crossed over and accepted this bad news. The original owner obviously couldn't accept his initial pet beast's crotch pulling like this, and directly fainted without coming up in one breath before he woke himself up. But it is also true that the Yanhuang Ancient Country, and even the entire Blue Star, plus the study of pet beasts by the rest of the human powers, has been unanimously determined for so many years the yellow-spotted snake is a royal beast with no evolutionary potential or combat ability, and does not have much contract value. The pet beasts of the entire Blue Star are divided into ordinary, elite, general, monarch, emperor, spirit, myth. In each rank, there are 10 more steps under such a level. It can be said that the pet beasts of the vast majority of races have been studied and understood thoroughly. Therefore, this yellow spot snake in front of you, even in history, few have been able to break through to the potential of the elite level, and at the same time, the combat power is such a pet beast, which has become one of the wastes in the eyes of countless people. Well, now that everyone has obtained the initial pet beast and concluded a contract, let's communicate for the first time and try to send your first pet beast into the Imperial Beast space. Sumyu sighed, but this wisp of disappointment did not last long, and if it came, it would be safe. After all, now that the pet beast contract has been concluded, if it is forcibly lifted, not only will the pet beast be seriously injured or even die, but also a royal beast master who has not even reached the basic level will also be seriously injured and mentally weak. And Sumyu took a look at the yellow spot snake in front of him. the small snake intertwined with earth yellow and brown. Yellow, although it was definitely not good looking, but there was also a feeling of ugliness and cuteness. He directly tried to touch the body of the macular snake, and directly closed his eyes to communicate with his mind with the power of contract. From now on, you will be called Xiaopai. Now, enter the Imperial Beast space and rest well. Sizzle, the little brown-yellow snake slowly turned into a shadow and disappeared. However, just when Sumyu thought it was over, suddenly, he only felt a shock in his spirit. In an instant, in front of his eyes, in addition to the small space of the Imperial Beast that was forced into nothingness, the figure of a yellow-spotted snake slowly appeared. There was something special about it. This is an atlas of nothingness. Then, above this album, a message was fed back into Sumyu's heart. Royal Beast Space obtained. Pet Beast detected. Mythical illustration is being identified. Identification completed. Pet animal, yellow-spotted snake, contracted. Level, normal first order. Potential, normal 10th order. Talent, molting, normal. Skill, winding, normal. Mythologizing is possible. Is it to find the mythical form with the highest degree of fit in the picture book? Note, after selecting the mythological form evolution route, it cannot be changed again. If there is no following sentence, then at this moment, the picture book in front of Sumyu's eyes is similar to some pet animal identification institutions in the world. However, the following sentence made Sumyu's heart jump. Really? Goldfinger? Sumyu's choice to be full of expectations was when a voice sounded from the front. Well, since the students have already taken the Imperial Beast into the space, then they can carry out the talent awakening. Chapter 002. Sumyu slowly opened his eyes, but there was no disappointment. The use of this mythical book could be used at any time, and he was not afraid of a little sooner or later. Directly urging the use here, Sumyu was still worried about what other troubles would be caused. However, Sumyu now also had to think about a problem. Having just appeared in the Imperial Beast space, the mythical picture book in his mind was not his awakening talent. Terran talent is the ability to awaken after contracting the first pet beast, opening up the royal beast space, and performing the awakening ceremony. Only by becoming a royal beast master can you have talent. But the problem is, I haven't performed the awakening ceremony yet. Sumyu was a little speechless, watching his classmates, including Chen Xiao, who was his own classmate of the school flower, enter a meditative state and begin to awaken his talent, and he was too lazy to think about it. Talent awakening is the ability of the soul origin, and as long as the royal beast space is opened, it has the ability to meditate and can tap into its own soul origin ability. Manifest as your own talent. It can be said that the Imperial Beast space and the innate ability are the greatest reliance of the Terrans on the existence of those terrifying godlike divine beasts and fierce beasts above this blue star. Just as Sumyu was about to close his eyes, a ray of light slowly lit up from beside him. Teacher Yang, who was observing the whole class, suddenly lit up. The light of awakening, and only when you enter the meditative state, you burst out of the light of awakening, which is also a talent of the lowest monarch level, right? Even if you look at the graduates of this class in the entire mountain city of Chongyang district, there are not many. If you develop it well, plus a good pet beast, you may not be able to challenge the professional Royal Beast Master Examination Conference in 3 years. Sumyu obviously didn't know that his 3-year table mate seemed to be taking off today. At this moment, all his mind was integrated into the depths of his soul. At the same time, a series of rays of light almost followed Chen Xiao, and then lit up. This scene made Teacher Yang, who had just clenched his fist in excitement on the podium, stare again. Another light of awakening. Teacher Yang looked at Sumyu and shook his fist in excitement. Among other things, the two guarantees are talents above the monarch level, and with a little cultivation, I am afraid that the name of the third class of the second middle high school in the experiment will be famous in the whole district. The speed of awakening is not fast, but it is not slow either. Soon, Sumyu slowly opened his eyes. This time, I opened my eyes again, and what came into my eyes was no longer the sympathetic gaze of the students around me. There is envy, there is jealousy, there is resentment. However, in addition, the most conspicuous thing is Teacher Yang's smiling face and the excited smiles of the other middle-aged men who do not know when they appear in the class. Sumyu knew these people. This is the director of teaching at Chongyang District Experiment 2 and Vice Principal Wang. Classmate Sumyu, what talent did you awaken, and what grade was it? Sumyu was stunned, and only then did he recall the feeling he had just had, and the breath that also appeared in his heart. Special talent, teaching. As soon as these words came out, the smiles on the faces of Teacher Yang and Vice Principal Wang suddenly stiffened. The Terran talents above the blue star are also divided into the ranks of the Imperial Beasts. However, there are special cases, that is, some talents that are not well defined are called special talents. This kind of talent completely depends on the play, some people, worthless, some even comparable to mythical talents, and teaching, no doubt, is one of them. The innate ability is very simple. The Royal Beast Master can teach the pet beast new skills and abilities through himself. At first glance, this skill can be called against the sky, only because, in addition to the innate race skills, the pet beast can understand and learn the skills on its own, which can be said to be the only one in the world. Being able to teach pet animal skills represents the infinite possibilities of pet animals. But the problem is that this is the teaching of the Imperial Beast Master. The Imperial Beast Master himself had to learn before he could teach. If the Imperial Beast Master can't, how can he teach the pet beast? And the skills of those pet beasts, which is not weird and powerful, how can the Royal Beast Master, as a human, learn the skills of the pet beasts? The smile on Vice Principal Wang's face was slightly stiff, but in the end it was not Teacher Yang who was like this, and he was a person who came over and patted Sumyu's shoulder slightly. It doesn't matter. Teaching is also a special skill recognized by the entire Blue Star Federation, and it definitely has great potential. The school has a rule: awakening to the talent above the monarch level, the school will give additional resources after your graduation, although the special talent is not specifically rated, but your share will not be less. Although it is not much, it is not precious, but it is also a part of the school's heart. As soon as these words came out, the rest of the students, who had originally been slightly ridiculed because they heard the talent of teaching, once again looked at Sumyu with envy and jealousy. In any case, special talents are not comparable to ordinary low-level talents. Special treatment of the school. This is evident. Sumyu was a little surprised by the words of Vice Principal Wang in front of him. Shouldn't it be that he took the initiative to hide and then be madly despised and suppressed? Then he was shocked, dressed as a pig and ate a tiger, shocking the whole audience. Why do I say that I am the most chicken special talent? You will give me resources in the old way? This is not scientific. Sumyu had some regrets and disappointments. Teacher Ying on the side, after seeing Chen Xiao wake up, did not have the spring breeze just now, and asked nervously, Xiao, what is your talent? She was afraid of another chicken rib talent like teaching. However, Chen Xiao's words made her heart not only not put into her stomach, but also completely fly. Chen Xiao glanced at Sumyu and smiled. The talent I awakened was the Heart of Fire, the Emperor-level talent. The talent of Lord Yansheng? As soon as these words came out, the whole class was instantly quiet, and then it boiled over. Imperial talent? Even if there is a Holy Spirit-level talent and a myth above, such a talent, in many cases, is only a theory. In the whole Blue Star, the myth is not to say that it has been seen, and no one has even heard of it. The Holy Spirit-level Imperial Beast, the Imperial Beast Master, was already a deterrent existence like a nuclear weapon. And the Emperor-level Imperial Beast Master was enough to become a provincial-level Heavenly King. It's a real big man. Although talent does not represent strength, it is definitely countless times smoother than others. Looking at the rest of the people who were suddenly surrounding Chen Xiao's side, Sumyu smiled slightly at the corner of his mouth. The Imperial level, it is indeed remarkable. His own table, maybe he will really become a big man in the future. Thinking of this, Sumyu slowly sank into the bottom of his heart, feeling the feedback of another talent in the Imperial Beast space that he had awakened again. Death Plunder. Special talent. A dead pet beast can plunder a skill on it and can be taught directly to the rest of the pet beasts. This talent, at least in Sumyu's known Federation history, had never appeared before. Nature has no grade that can be determined, and can only be measured by special. However, Sumyu had reason to believe that I was afraid that the legendary Holy Spirit grade talent and mythical level talent were just that? And this is just a talent of your own? He also has that even more mythological illustrated book. Chapter 003. Sumyu did not delay at school. Above the Blue Star, the courses before the third year of high school are all laying the foundation. At the age of 18, opening up the royal beast space, awakening the royal beast talent, and contracting the first pet beast, it is considered to be an official graduation. As for after that, whether to become the vast majority of ordinary people to live a 9-to-5 day, or whether you want to go further and become a professional royal beast master, it depends on your own ability. Only before the age of 30, after passing the professional imperial beast master examination and becoming a formal royal beast master, can he learn the true pet beast high-end fighting and cultivation skills in a higher school. And the resources promised by the school are not in a hurry now. Sumyu does not know what resources he needs for this yellow spot snake to cultivate, but if he wants money, he feels a bit lost. So I said hello to Vice President Wang and would come back in 2 days. Back at the empty home, Sumyu lay directly on the sofa, closed his eyes and directly entered the state of the meditation imperial beast space. If he didn't have this mythical picture book, he really wanted to have a showdown with the school directly. At such times, the growth of the individual is naturally faster than the direct cultivation of the state. However, his awakening talent was somewhat special in the end. Unlike Chen Xiao, the Heart of Flame could enhance the growth speed and combat power of the Fire Clan pet beast. This talent can be said to be quite evil. Although it is said that outside the Yanhuang ancient country, there are also wild pet beasts, but Sumyu really does not dare to gamble the high level of the ancient kingdom, if there is any other idea. Sumyu shook his head and put these thoughts into his heart, which put all his attention on the picture book that had reappeared in his mind. Pet animal, yellow spotted snake, contracted. Level, normal first order. Potential, normal 10th order. Talent, molting, normal. Skill, winding, normal. Mythologizing is possible. Is it to find the mythical form with the highest degree of fit in the picture book? There was still no hint of any change. At this moment, Sumyu was not hesitating, and decisively chose yes. In an instant, the hint in my head disappeared. Behind that, the dark book of mythological illustrations opened directly as if it were a book. In the process of flipping through the pages, a series of lights slowly emerged. In the end, this book of myths was flipped from one side to the other. In Sumyu's mind, several patterns had already appeared again. As soon as Sumyu's mind moved, he casually probed his consciousness into this picture. In an instant, a scene appeared in his mind. And this scene, he can say that it is incomparably familiar. A figure, dragging a long snake tail, huge body, as tall as heaven and earth. Human snake tail? And that person is still an extremely beautiful woman, with indescribable gentleness and motherhood. Most importantly, this woman is holding a stone in her hand and is making up for a sky that leaks down into the flood. Nuwa make up for the heavens. In an instant, Sumyu already knew it. At the same time, a message appeared in Sumyu's mind again. Mythological form, Nuwa. In Eastern mythology, the goddess of creation, creation of man, and replenishment of heaven has infinite power and is the supreme mythological being. Fit level, 3%. Estimated number of transformations and evolutions, 175 times. Transformation difficulty, extremely high. Expected success rate of the renovation, 0.01%. Sumyu's eyelids trembled rapidly, and he finally understood at this moment. It turns out that the so-called myth in the mythological picture book is not the grade title of the mythical level royal beast above the blue star. It's the real myth that exists. So, in this royal beast world, if it is really the existence of these myths that has come, what kind of strength will it be? Is it that the level will be raised several levels again? Nuwa? Although Sumyu closed his eyes, he also knew that it would be more difficult to evolve the yellow spotted snake into a Nuwa than if he had crossed back again. Thinking of this, Sumyu withdrew his thoughts and looked at the rest of the pictures that appeared in his mind. It doesn't matter if the evolutionary fit of the Nuwa form is low, just look at something else. After all, Sumyu could also feel that his own yellow spot snake was not a mother. Is it true that she chose the Nuwa form, and can she change her gender in the future evolution? Or did it just turn into a male form? Thinking of this possibility, Sumyu was a little cold and went directly to the next picture book. In an instant, in his consciousness and mind, a huge creature appeared, with dark scales, like a combination of a huge snake python and a lizard, and wings. On his back, this strange creature, under a huge tree, seemed to be sucking something. Mythological form, Niederhog. A black dragon at the base of the world tree is sometimes thought of as a giant serpent. Together with countless poisonous snakes, it eats away at its roots until it is finally destroyed. Fit level, 7%. Estimated number of transformations, 23 times. Transformation. Difficulty, high. Expected success rate of the transformation, 13%. Niederhog. Sumyu was also a bright eye, and the dragon of annihilation in Western mythology was also a creature in mythology. It's just that obviously, this Niederhog is undoubtedly much worse than the Nuwa in the Eastern mythology just now. From the difficulty and number of transformations, we can see some clues. Of course, it is also possible that the difficulty of this transformation has nothing to do with combat effectiveness, and is purely a degree of fit. But no matter what, Nuwa's compulsion is still stronger than a long insect lizard holding a tree root and gnawing. The gap between these, of course, goes without saying. Sumyu shook his head, and was not in a hurry, re-emerging his consciousness from this Niederhog's picture book, and continued to look at the rest of the picture book. Chapter 004 Yaki Great Snake Fuxi. Xiang Yanagi Medusa. Yemengard. Apophis. Hudra. One by one, on the earth in the previous life, the legendary snake python that he had heard of, and the giant snake picture book in the myth, appeared in Sumyu's mind one by one. One by one, it was a terrifying existence, and any mythical existence that appeared in this imperial beast world, which would directly cause the entire world to vibrate, appeared in Sumyu's perception. Sumyu, who watched it, could be said to be dazzled, and among them, what he was most satisfied with, and at the same time suitable, was Mangard. Mythological form, Yemengard. The second son of Loki, the god of trickery. And the female giant Angelboda, the serpent of the world that can surround the entire world, the earthly python. Fit level, 77%. Estimated number of transformations, 9 times. Transformation difficulty, high. Expected success rate of the transformation, 73%. This is also the only one, among these mythological forms, the success rate of transformation exceeds 50. At the same time, the number of evolutions is only 9 times. That is to say, as long as he meets the conditions, let the macula snake named by him Xiapai evolve 9 times from this yellow-spotted snake, which claims to be one of the weakest in the Federation, you can turn into an earthly python that surrounds the world. Although the difficulty of renovation is still high, it is already quite good in comparison. Naturally, he also wanted to transform Noah, Fuxi, the great god of the myth of the Earth Dragon Kingdom, not only kind, but also fierce. But the difficulty of not being able to stand is really high, the number of transformations is really many, and the probability is really low. Sumyu slowly let out a breath. He glanced at the remaining picture book that did not have deep perception, and there was only one left. If this last book of pictures is still not working well, then he can be sure to choose this mythological form of Yemengard, the earthly python, the world snake whose body can surround the entire world. Sumyu is also quite interested. However, as his consciousness melted into the last illustration, Sumyu was suddenly stunned. Only because, this last one, instead of the huge gods and beasts he had seen before, but a mist. In the mist, there seemed to be tentacles that looked like snakes' tails and octopuses, slowly swinging. And in the yellow mist of this dao, it seemed that there were whispers ringing in the ears, but this whisper could not affect Sumyu in the slightest, but it felt extremely novel. Then, in the mist, a special circular eerie mark slowly condensed and appeared. At the same time, there seemed to be a series of operatic sounds in the theater. In this dim yellow mist, it seemed so mysterious. Then, a dim yellow figure seemed to slowly walk past his eyes, in this ruined world. Sumyu subconsciously retreated, and at the same time, the specific situation of this picture book had already appeared in Sumyu's mind. Mythological form, Asta. The legendary king of yellow, the nameless, the lord of the stars and the deep sea, the distant feaster. The symbol of the wind, one of the rulers of the old days. Fit level, 91%. Estimated number of transformations, 13 times. Transformation difficulty, medium. Expected success rate of the transformation, 96%. Feeling the information that appeared in his heart, looking at the dim world in front of him, as if he was pregnant with a world of infinite destruction and despair. Sumyu was completely confused. Even if he withdrew from the mythological chart, Sumyu did not completely return to God. He knew more or less about the myths on the earth, but he really didn't think that this postmodern Thulhu mythology could actually be counted as one of them. And the strange thing is that this small skin of this yellow spotted snake of his own family can really evolve into such a being? Asta, the king of yellow? Sumyu looked at the little skin that was staying in the imperial beast's face with some strangeness. How could he not see that this little snake had the slightest resemblance to the legendary ruler of the old days? Is it difficult to achieve because the snakeskin of the small skin is also yellow? Isn't that a bit of a nonsense? Sumyu shook his head and fell into thought. He also had a certain understanding of the Thulhu mythology, and naturally knew what kind of existence these old rulers were. If the myths of the East and the West, even those fierce gods, have human nature, then these Thulhu gods do not have the slightest humanity. Although Asta is said to be a rare old day of contact with people, it is the same in the end. And he was really worried that if he really evolved, Xiaopai, the first creature he saw after he crossed into this world, and the little guy with special feelings, would he really become a look he didn't know? This idea had just appeared, and in the mythological picture book, a wisp of information was quickly returned. Sumyu was relieved that the transformation of the mythical picture book only had such power in evolution. It will not destroy the mind, and naturally it will not be able to disobey the orders of its own master. If so, Sumyu glanced at the success rate shown on this map, as well as the degree of fit. Could it be that this legendary yellow-robed King Asta really resembles a snake python? However, what is the so-called ontology of the old rulers? Is it really important? Sumyu shook his head. Perhaps it was precisely for this reason that this Asta's picture book had such a high degree of fit with Xiaopai. As for the strengths, Asta was the most powerful of the old rulers. After all, being able to give birth to an heir together with an outer god who is said to be the black goat that gives birth to everything, which is second only to the supreme god of Asathos, is enough to prove its strengths. I'm afraid it's hard to say anything else, but it is estimated that it is much stronger than the existence of such as Yemengard and Niederhog. An earthly python like Yemengard was indeed very attractive, but compared to this more mysterious yellow-robed king, Sumyu was still more curious about the latter. Moreover, whether it is the difficulty of the transformation or the success rate, it is much easier. Thinking of this, Sumyu looked at the last picture book in front of him again, and his heart moved. Is mythical form, Asta, the goal of the evolution of the macular snake? In the feedback of the mythological picture book, Sumyu finally stopped hesitating. Yes. Chapter 005. In an instant, the picture book in my mind directly turned into pieces, and the rest of the picture book actually returned to the picture book of the mythical picture book, waiting for Sumyu's choice in the future. And the fragments of Nahasta's illustration that he had chosen slowly merged into the body of the small skin of the macular snake that was still curled up in the space of the imperial beast. It's just that obviously, the little skin that felt the regurgitation of the master's royal beast's face was not affected by the slightest point, and it was still like that. Sumyu was a little surprised, his mind moved, and the mythical picture book was once again urged to look at Xiaopai. Pet animal, yellow-spotted snake, contracted. Level, normal first order. Potential, normal 10th order. Talent, molting, normal. Skill, winding, normal. Mythological form selected, Asta, King of Yellow. Current evolution requirement 1, take tumbleweed daily. Sumyu's brow raised slightly. It's that simple. Wind orchid, this thing he also knew, is a herb containing a certain wind attribute spiritual power, as some wind attribute pet beast snack. The price is not too expensive. He can afford it too. Naturally, it is not a very precious material. The yellow-spotted snake, the entire Blue Star Federation has not come up with an evolutionary route. Is it not so simple? It can evolve. Sumyu's brow frowned, but when he looked down, he realized how naive his thoughts were. Current evolution requirement 2, during the period of swallowing the tumbleweed, the macular snake is half of each molting time, and the imperial master forcibly tears the macular snake to molt, interrupts the molting and lets it eat the molted skin, and after repeated 9 times, the macular snake will complete the evolution by itself when it molts for the 10th time. Estimated time, 20 days to 3 months. depending on the quantity and quality of tumbleweed taken daily, as well as the macula snake's own talent. Looking at the second evolutionary requirement below, Sumyu was directly numb. Even if he hadn't come to the Blue Star Imperial Beast world, he knew that when a snake python molted its skin, it was the weakest time. Just like when an insect turns into a butterfly, only by relying on their own molting and cocooning can they really grow up. This is also the natural law of the ascension of living beings and the growth of themselves. Evolution itself is a step up in the natural laws of growth. However, now, at this moment, this second evolutionary requirement made Sumyu directly violate this law. Every time the maculated snake molts its skin, it must directly tear its mold, break the molting, and let the molting snake that has been torn off be eaten again. Repeat it 9 times. If it weren't for the fact that the mythical illustrated book was so real in his soul, it couldn't be faked, and if others said that this yellow-spotted snake was going to evolve in this way, Sumyu would definitely think that the head of the person who spoke was kicked by a donkey. Thinking of this, Sumyu no longer hesitated, and directly took advantage of the night. The store was not yet closed, and came to the nearest pharmacy. Is there a tumbleweed? Yes. How much do you want? As one of the largest cities directly under the jurisdiction of the entire Yanhuang Kingdom, there is no shortage of materials needed by the imperial beasts. After calculating his remaining money a little, Sumyu said, let's take 10 pounds first. Nice. Holding 10 pounds of wind orchid grass that is still of good quality back home, it was already late at night. Sumyu did not have half a bit of sleepiness, and directly communicated with the power of the contract to communicate with Xiaopai in front of him. As if awakening from a deep sleep, Xiaopai looked around a little dazedly, and only then did he make his own unique cry towards Sumyu excitedly, his feeling Xiaopai's greeting. Sumyu smiled slightly, and gently rubbed this ugly and cute little yellow snake with his fingers, and then smiled. From today onwards, I want to do special training for you. Is the little skin ready? The pet beast was able to understand the meaning of the Imperial Beast Master through the soul connection of the Imperial Beast Master, and when he heard this, Xiaopai nodded busily. There was also a flash of excitement in the orange-yellow pupils. Tumbleweed is a special pale white blade of grass. Each plant is about 1 finger long. The price of a single root is not expensive, but a pound is about 3,000. The materials related to pet animals are extremely expensive. After all, wild beasts in the wild will not be kind to you because you are here to mow the grass. That is, humans have carried out some artificial breeding in the city, which makes the value of some materials relatively reduced. Tumbleweed is one of them. The macular snake is a relatively common pet beast with no attribute power, otherwise it would not be classified as a pet beast with an ordinary potential. Sumyu sent the wind orchid in his hand to Xiaopai's mouth. Come, eat this, and you will be able to become strong. Tumbleweed is definitely not in the recipe of the macular snake, and it is indeed very abnormal to let a snake eat grass. Skin, although he was very resistant, as his pet beast, Xiaopai still did not disobey the order, opened the snake kiss that was only the size of a finger, and slowly swallowed this tumbleweed into his belly. Just swallowed it. Another piece of tumbleweed came to my mouth. In this way, in the gloomy gaze of his pet beast suspecting that he was abusing the pet beast, Sumyu gave this yellow-spotted snake that had just been born today enough to feed 10 pieces of wind orchid grass, until the little skin was completely lying on the ground. Even the body could not curl up. I can only lie flat on the ground, looking like I have no love. In general, pet animals do not need to eat too much. Even in the Imperial Beast Master's Imperial Beast space, it was possible to absorb energy. Seeing that this little guy in his house really couldn't eat anymore, Sumyu nodded and sent Xiaopai into the Imperial Beast space. At this time, it was already late. At night, the time was not short. Sumyu did not think much more. With an excited mood, fell into a deep sleep. However, this sleep did not even last for a few hours, and when the sky was just a little dark, he was awakened by the movement of the Imperial Beast space. When the spirit probed into it, it was a slight shock. Only because the small skin of the yellow-spotted snake that had previously entered the Imperial Beast space to digest the wind orchid had actually closed its eyes at this time. Nature was not dead, and from the feedback of the Imperial Beast space, Sumyu could clearly know his current situation. It was only the first day of birth that it was about to start molting. When he boarded, Sumyu suddenly lost all sleep. 17/11. 6:02 p.m. Sundar, Chapter 006. In the midst of the amber snake's metamorphosis, one movement after another touched Sumyu's heart. He remembered very well that the first evolutionary stage of the macula was to be forcibly interrupted halfway through its molting stage. Snake molting is a key part of its growth. After each molt is complete, the python grows. Breaking and tearing apart the snake will make the snake python fall into extreme weakness. And even serious may directly lead to death. Sumyu slowly let out a breath. He did not hesitate. He wanted to gain strength. Some price always had to be paid. He believed that Pai, as one of the most trash pet beasts in the entire Blue Star Federation, definitely wanted to be stronger. Because he could feel the feedback in the little skin soul after the contract was concluded. The pet beast was not without wisdom. Even if it was just born, the yellow-spotted snake could feel the playful eyes of Sumyu's classmates. And now, the lord it trusted, naturally could not hesitate again. Thinking of this, Sumyu no longer hesitated, and almost at the same time, Xiao Pai's body moved slowly, as if he already wanted to slowly climb out of the snake's metamorphosis. At this moment, Sumyu directly reached out his hand and directly tore apart the fragile snake-like snake. The snake also implicated the skin and flesh of the macular snake, and the blood flowed out, and the huge pain made the macular snake send a terrible howl. However, in the perception of the soul, Sumyu heard a wisp of calling. Hiss, continue. Sumyu was stunned and looked at this weak little yellow snake like a loach, leaving the water in surprise. The brown-yellow snake, mixed with some of its scales and flesh, was torn off by Sumyu. He couldn't care less about letting Xiao Pai eat this thing, but directly urged the power of the Imperial Beast Space to treat this little yellow snake that was already seriously injured to the point of dying at this time. After he had recovered his spirit a little, Sumyu glanced at the bare snake body that was almost without several intact scales. This is how the snake was placed in front of the slightly larger circle of small leather. Eat it, and you'll be stronger. This is a cruel cultivation method against the sky. Not to say that it is a latecomer, but Sumyu can be sure absolutely unprecedented. At this moment, Sumyu was also nervous. 9 times like this. The macular snake can evolve in this way. I don't know if there will be any changes after the first molting. If not only did the strength not increase a little, but weakened and seriously injured because of it, then Sumyu was really afraid that this little guy would not be able to hold out until the 9th time. Xiao Pai didn't even think about it, and directly moved the seriously injured body. Slightly, looking at the part of his body that had fallen off, weakly opened the snake kiss, and slowly swallowed it into his abdomen. And at this moment, a faint yellow light appeared from the body of Xiao Pai. This light made Sumyu suddenly get excited again. This is the light of evolution. The light only appears when the pet beast race evolves and its strength increases. This light, appearing quickly, disappears just as quickly, and in less than 10 minutes, it disappears. Instead, the little yellow snake that appeared in front of Sumyu's eyes had once again changed its appearance slightly. Hiss, in the midst of weakness, a hissing sound with excitement sounded. Let Sumyu look at it. The previously broken scales, in this flesh and blood, have been born again. However, the scales of this birth are extremely strange, pale beige, different from the brownish-yellow marks of the ordinary yellow-spotted snake, and are pale yellow throughout. The most bizarre thing is the slightly larger yellow-spotted snake with its back attached to the head. The snake python is usually called 7 inches away, and a special circle mark of black and yellow appears. It's like a spinning 3-lobed gyroscope. It's a bit like the beautiful pupil eyes of an island worker that Sumyu saw in his last life, called a kaleidoscope. But the details are not the same, and it is not completely symmetrical. The more you look at it, the more you feel weird. Even under the long gaze, this yellow circular mark seemed to be squirming, as if it was rotating. As the master, Sumyu did not feel how, but felt that there was a special induction and traction in his mind. He was suddenly shocked, and then he looked at the little skin in front of him, who seemed to be a little surprised. Sumyu returned to his senses and looked at Xiao Pai in disbelief. This is just the first time to molt. This is not the first evolution. It was only the first of 9 molts in the first of 13 evolutionary steps. It's even a 1% progression. However, is it just the first progress? Is that exaggerated? At this moment, Sumyu finally let go of his heart a little, and it was at this moment that he truly understood what the mythical picture book in his soul really meant. He gathered up his excitement, directly urged the identification ability of the mythical picture book, and looked at this round head at this time, wanting to be close to himself, but the small skin that could not be moved quickly because of the injury. Pet animal, yellow spotted snake, contracted. Equal order, normal fourth order. Potential, unknown. Talents, yellow seal, unknown, molting, normal. Skills, winding, normal, wind tail, normal. This look made Sumyu even stunned for a moment, before he remembered that it could be said that it was clear that Xiaopai was a real ordinary first-order pet beast when he was just born, that is, when he was in school during the day, arguably the weakest of the bunch. However, in just 1 day's time, the realm level had already been directly upgraded from the ordinary first order to the fourth order. What kind of boost is this? And that's just a molting change? Sumyu blinked, looking forward to it for the first time, after completing such 9 molts. What level would the small skin reach? Breaking through the ordinary order should be simple, right? Elite? Or even the pinnacle of the elite? Sumyu didn't know, because at this time, he didn't have the kung fu to pay too much attention to these things, but focused on the 2 new abilities that appeared after Xiaopai's first molting. One is the basic skill, and that's it. It should be related to the tumbleweed being taken. However, this sudden appearance of talent had to let Sumyu take a good look at it. Chapter 007. Obviously, this yellow mark is the special mark on the back of the small leather at this time. The strangeness of this mark had just been perceived by him, but what effects and abilities there were, he really didn't know much about it now. The identification ability of the mythical atlas was launched, and the specific effect of this yellow seal had already appeared in front of Sumyu's eyes. Yellow seal. Unknown level talent ability. The yellow spotted snake has incorporated a certain innate ability born from the memory of Asta, the king of yellow, and the rest of the yellow spotted snakes who have evolved through this method cannot regain this ability, have a special unknown psychic power influence, and gain the rest of the indefinite abilities depending on the level of the realm, can be used to slightly affect the spirit of the opponent's pet beast. If it weren't for the perception power in the imperial beast space at this time, Sumyu would have almost directly collapsed. Only after the initial evolution, he can already possess the innate skills that affect spiritual power. It can only be said that it is worthy of the goal of the evolution of the Yellow King Asta, the pet beast of the old ruler. Looking at Jiang staring at his little skin, Sumyu patted the little guy's head and nodded with satisfaction. Nice. In the future, the whole world will change because of us. Xiaopai didn't know if he understood or not, but he let out a roar of excitement. Then it seems that because of the wound, the body in pain is jerking. Looking at the small skin that was inhaling cold air in pain, Sumyu smiled slightly, withdrew from the imperial beast space, and slightly urged to continue to soothe and heal Xiaopai with the power in the imperial beast space. This is also the reason why the Terrans are able to rule over these pet beasts. The imperial beast space opened up by the Terran race can not only allow the imperial beast not to grow overly on food, but also to accelerate its growth rate. At the same time, it can induce the energy to restore its injury, as long as it does not die, or if it is hit by some poison, curse, or other injuries, it can slowly recover. After healing the small skin a little, Sumyu glanced at the sky outside. It's not fully lit up yet. Now that the school has graduated, it is necessary to take the school's resource rewards for special talents, as well as talents above the monarch level. After buying a full 10 kilograms of wind orchid grass, Sumyu's wallet was no longer left, and this matter was crucial. It's just that it's still early, and Sumyu can't go to school so early. Just take advantage of the time when he can sleep and meditate well. He clenched his fists slightly, feeling the power of his body. Even if he just slept for a while, he was still energetic, feeling that a punch could kill a cow. The Imperial Beast Master naturally also has a hierarchy, and only with each great realm can the rest of the pet beasts be contracted again. The improvement of the Imperial Beast Master, in addition to meditation and heaven and earth treasures, is the feedback after the evolution of the contract pet beast and the improvement of strength. At the same time, the improvement of the realm of the Imperial Beast Master can also give greater help to the pet beasts. Mutual benefit? This time, the special evolution of the molting of the small skin undoubtedly made Sumyu get a lot of feedback. He sensed it slightly, and sure enough, His Imperial Beast Master realm also improved, reaching the level of the ordinary second order. Sumyu did not hesitate, and entered the meditation as he remembered. However, this time of meditation, just for a moment, Sumyu withdrew. His brow furrowed and he blinked. In my memory, it seems that this has not happened in previous meditations. In meditation, Sumyu was fine, but in his mind, the rotating yellow mark always appeared. Yellow marks on the back of the small leather. This feeling prevented him from fully entering meditation. Sumyu's brow slowly loosened and tried again. Sure enough, this yellow seal still subconsciously appeared in the mind. Sumyu Suo no longer thinks much. Meditation is itself a process of brain emptying. Since you can't erase this yellow mark, just meditate with it. Even directly meditate on this yellow seal. With this thought in mind, Sumyu only felt that his spirit, the whole person, in meditation, was integrated into the yellow seal. With the slow rotation and squirming of the yellow seal in his mind, his spirit was also rapidly improving. And the speed of this increase made Sumyu even have to stop again after half an hour. Not too slow, but too fast. Quickly let Sumyu's temples and eyebrows, even faintly painful, bulging incomparable. Obviously, his body could not withstand the enhancement of his spiritual power and the Imperial Beast Space. What kind of speed is this? If Sumyu's meditation before awakening the Imperial Beast Space was to climb in the pit, so at this moment, he directly put on the best sneakers, with the most extreme speed of mankind, in a 100-meter sprint. This speed was so fast that he couldn't relax his mind, and the meditation of this meeting was even comparable to the speed of meditation in the previous day and night. The source of such a change is very simple, that is, the eerie squirming and rotating yellow mark on the back of the small leather at this time. Does this yellow seal actually have such a mysterious mystery? At this moment, Sumyu was once again shocked by the first change of the mythological picture book. Unfortunately, his physical strength could not support such a long period of meditation at such a speed for the time being. Only by continuing to cultivate Xiaopai well, and then allowing pet animals like Xiaopai to evolve to feedback and improve physical fitness, can the duration of meditation be longer. But even so, Sumyu was already satisfied. Just one day, from just awakening the royal beast space, the first pet beast of the contract in one day, the macular snake was elevated to the ordinary fourth order, and his own realm also rose with the water. Wait until the future, monarchs, emperors, but only small goals. Even above this blue star, it is only a myth in the theory of existence, and it is not impossible. And this was only his first pet beast, a macular snake that claimed to be the lowest potential of the blue star. What would it be like to be able to contract a second pet beast or even more when his realm was elevated to the elite level? In this expectation, Sumyu slowly got up and glanced at the morning glow in the sky, and only then did he go towards the school with an excited mood. The resource reward promised by Vice President Wang, he has not forgotten it? Chapter 008. Sumyu did not come early, at least when he arrived, in the empty class. His own table mate was already sitting on the seat. However, in the huge classroom, Chen Xiaoxiao was the only one. The third year of high school has graduated, and the rest, if you still want to make progress in the Royal Beast again, you must pass the professional examination and enter a higher exclusive school. And the vast majority of people can only live some 9 to 5 lives. Cultivating pet beasts, realm improvement, and even combat is far from simple. The entire senior class, except for Sumyu's special talent, is not good at grading. The rest of them have no high potential to get further cultivation from the school, and Chen Xiaoxiao is undoubtedly much brighter than himself. Even this morning, on the bus, Sumyu heard that someone was talking about this genius who turned out to be the third year of the Chongyang District Experimental No. 2 High School. Therefore, seeing that Chen Xiaoxiao arrived earlier than himself, Sumyu was a little surprised. How can you still come today? I thought those consortiums were going to make you out of the house? An emperor-level talent, but also an elemental amplification talent. As long as it does not die prematurely, the imperial level is not necessarily, but the monarch is still nailed down. Such a existence, those company consortiums, or quite willing to pay for cultivation, investment in advance? Hearing Sumyu's words, Chen Xiaoxiao smirked. Speaking of which, my coming here today really has something to do with this matter. I am here to invite you on behalf of our Mountain City Kunlun group. No matter what, You are also a special talent holder. Maybe there is an unknown potential. I can decide, after you join, the minimum guarantee of 1 million yuan a year to cultivate pet beasts' public expenses, plus an annual salary of 1 million. If there are any special requirements for the conditions, you can mention it again. I have to say that even Sumyu was moved in his heart when he heard such conditions. Kunlun Group is a local consortium company in the mountain city, mainly engaged in pet animal materials, machinery, and equipment, etc. It can be said that it is quite rich. There was no change in Sumyu's face. He just sat down and smiled. Good fellow, am I going to lean on a rich woman? You have just joined. This Kunlun Group gives you such a big permission? Looking at Sumyu's smile, Chen Xiaoxiao was a little disappointed. Looks like you're going to refuse. Sumyu was stunned, but also nodded. Joining the consortium and being a constraint is not his nature. 2 million, it seems that there is indeed a lot now, but after that, his realm will be improved, and these are not even a dime. Chen Xiaoxiao sighed and said with some regret, okay, Teacher Yang and Principal Guo are still waiting for us. Let's go together. Without further ado, this Colonel Chen did not delay, stood up in a red dress and walked toward the door. Sumyu was a little surprised. What conditions does Kunlun Group give you? With your talent, the authorities may come to recruit. There is no need to make a decision so quickly. Chen Xiaoxiao looked back at Won'er and smiled. Are you concerned about me? Sort of. Sumyu nodded bluntly. This time, it was Chen Xiaoxiao's turn to blush slightly with some embarrassment, and only then did he turn his head to hide his embarrassment slightly. My father's name is Chen Tianyan, and he is the chairman of Kunlun Group. It is said that this time Principal Guo got something good, otherwise, my father would not let me come back again. Without saying a word, Chen Xiaoxiao's figure quickly left the class. Only Sumyu was left stunned. Special meow, it turned out to be so. As a giant consortium in Shancheng, Chen Tianyan was also one of the few emperor-level imperial beast masters in Shancheng, and he was a well-known figure in the province and even the entire Yanhuang kingdom. Good fellow, it turns out that this squad leader is at the same table, and it turns out to be the princess of this Kunlun Group. No wonder he was able to directly give himself this rare but incomparably special talent. Imperial Beast Master was also able to directly give an offer of 2 million a year. This special turned out to be a legendary little rich woman. I have to admit that Sumyu regretted it a little. It was just a little. He shook his head helplessly, and then he followed out of the classroom. What is your contract, pet beast? The big princess of the Kunlun Group. It is estimated that it will not be a big road goods distributed by the school, right? Sumyu asked curiously. Chen Xiaoxiao didn't hide it either, and as soon as his mind moved, a ray of light appeared on his hand, and among the fiery red light and shadow, a bird with a scarlet body appeared in front of Sumyu's eyes. Fire Spirit Bird, the pet beast of monarchical potential. Sumyu didn't say it in his mouth, and sure enough, yes, in any place, the rich second generation and related households are the most annoying. Monarch potential, coupled with Chen Xiaoxiao's talent and the heart of flame, it is conceivable that Chen Xiaoxiao in front of him, if it is normal, the future and the vast majority of people are parallel lines that do not intersect at all. I'm going to try my career assessment this year. Admitted to our Mountain City Royal Beast Master Academy? Hey, you have to cheer up, or else, maybe I'll be your sister. Speaking of this, Chen Xiaoxiao looked at Sumyu playfully, tell the sister to listen. After Sumyu glanced at this graduation, he suddenly jumped out of many of the same table leaders, and then followed into the principal's room. The vocational examination is carried out at the end of each year, and there are still more than half a year to go. Like the college entrance examination on the earth, it can be called the attention of the whole people. The assessment requirements are good, as long as the Imperial Beast Master before the age of 25 can participate. Therefore, almost every year's assessment, it is all stormy, and there are many strong. At the same time, the benefits are enormous. The difficulty is not small, and this year's graduation, the end of the year, directly participate in the assessment. Not to mention more, Chen Xiaoxiao's identity, talent, resources, and starting point are enough for her to have this confidence and self-confidence. But as an ordinary person, there are also many people who can't pass the assessment even if they participate in 3 or 5 years. Chen Xiaoxiao's words have some comforting and encouraging meanings. But Sumyu only smiled slightly, and the corners of his mouth rose. Who shouts at the sister and who calls the senior? Not necessarily. Looking at Sumyu's confident smile, Chen Xiaoxiao was slightly stunned. Chapter 009 Unexpectedly, in this principal's office. In addition to Teacher Yang and the old Principal Guo, who rarely appeared in front of people, that is, when the new students were admitted, there were other people. Also a man of about his own age, behind a middle-aged man. Sumyu recognized at a glance that this man was the class teacher of the third class of the high school. The teenager behind him was also a prominent figure in this experiment before, called Li Ping. The background in the family is not bad. Is it difficult to be in yesterday's awakening? This guy's talent is also quite good. Sumyu's attention yesterday was all on the study of the mythical atlas and really did not pay attention to the situation in the school. After Teacher Yang saw Sumyu and the two people come in, his eyes immediately lit up, of course, mainly to Chen Xiaoxiao besides Sumyu. You guys are coming, hurry up, all waiting for you. And Li Ping, who came in, obviously also directly and automatically ignored Sumyu, and his eyes were firmly staring at Chen Xiaoxiao. He really didn't know that after so many years of schooling together, this little beauty in the next class was actually the little princess of the Kunlun group if it weren't for the fact that last night, Chen Tianyan of the Kunlun group sent a banquet to the top brass of Shancheng to celebrate his daughter's graduation and officially become a royal beast master. He couldn't believe it. The Lady of Heaven in the focus of everyone's attention is this ordinary high school student. Xiao Xiao, you are here, Principal Guo, we are waiting for you. Chen Xiaoxiao's brow frowned slightly, ignoring this guy. The son of a deputy district governor of Chongyang district of Shancheng City also deserves to call himself so? But she also arched her hand slightly towards the old man above. Grandpa Guo, you've been waiting for a long time. His father and this Principal Guo had forgotten their friendship in their early years, otherwise they would not have trusted their precious daughter to him. The two are naturally familiar. Principal Guo laughed. Okay, if it weren't for that fierce wind condor, I guess you wouldn't even want to come. But yesterday, old man, I didn't have time to go to Xiao Chen's party. You don't blame me. Chen Xiaoxiao slightly guanar, if you can, I just have to see Grandpa Guo's side, and I have to come. Only at this point, Chen Xiaoxiao glanced at Sumyu on the side with the afterglow of the corner of his eye. However, this scene, it was obvious that Li Ping, who was hanging in a piece, looked at it incomparably really, and his gaze followed Sumyu to the side, and a wisp of unkindness flashed in his eyes. Principal Guo hurriedly waved his hand. Okay, you, don't be polite to me. Now that all three of you have arrived, I will not delay the old man. Principal Guo was a cool man, and with a wave of his hand, a behemoth appeared directly in the open space in the middle of this huge office. It has a body of 3 inches in length, silver gray feathers, and even some disgusting smell of blood. It's a huge falcon carcass. The blood hasn't even dried yet. This is the corpse of the wind condor, the monarch's peak-level beast. It is extremely rare to be able to master a realm type of skill at the monarch level. I was killed last night, and the reward for the resources given to you by the school was something else. But just in time, the corpse of this fierce wind condor is worth a lot. You can choose one to take away. The corpse of the monarch peak-level strength beast? And it's the hot kind? The value of this thing is simply unimaginable. It is much more precious than ordinary resources. Even when Li Ping saw the corpse of this fierce wind condor, his eyes lit up at once. But this guy still had to laugh and said, Xiao Xiao, you pick first. Although your fire spirit bird is a fire bird, the wind condor eagle as a fierce beast of the main wind and vice fire bird has great benefits for the fire spirit bird and, before he could finish speaking, it was as if he had been directly pinched by the throat, and his expression suddenly darkened. Because at the moment when this divine eagle appeared, Sumyu's figure came to the side in surprise, and even the palm of his hand touched the body of this huge eagle falcon. Hey, what are you doing? Li Ping looked at Sumyu angrily. The others in the office also looked at Sumyu in surprise. Sumyu ignored them. He really did not think that the resources given by the school were not some of the materials he thought, or even money. It was the body of such a high-ranking imperial beast. The first time the mythical picture book gave him feedback. Wind condor, dead. Rank, monarch 1st rank. Potential, monarch 10th order. Talent, wind and fire control, monarch. Skills, storm roll, monarch. Fire Tornado, Monarch, Rapid, General, Wind Realm, Emperor. This is the true existence of a monarch. And even among the monarchs, they are the highest level. The reason is simple, it lies in the last skill mastered by this fierce wind condor. Generally speaking, only Emperor-level pet beasts can master realm skills. This is also the ability of the existence of the Emperor alone. It is also the reason why the Imperial level exists and can be so high status. The realm can greatly enhance its own strengths, suppress the strength of its opponents, and even directly make low-level fierce beasts dare not even dare to resist with courage and strength. The monarch-level pet beast can grasp the existence of the realm class, which can be said to be very few. As a rare, wind and fire dual attribute of the wind condor, is undoubtedly one of them. From this point of view, this Principal Guo was really not an ordinary person, and he was actually able to obtain the body of this fierce wind eagle, even if it was a fierce wind eagle who had just reached the age of an adult and barely reached the rank of monarch. However, Sumyu was not here to sigh at this. He narrowed his eyes slightly, and the throbbing in his soul instantly flew towards the fierce wind divine eagle in front of him. In the eyes of the rest of the people in this office, the boy in front of him seemed to be directly shocked by the corpse of this fierce wind condor. Stunned. However, in fact, at this moment, Sumyu felt a special feedback brought by his talent. Talent Death Plunder effect activated. You have learned the skill Wind Imperial level skill Wind Realm, which can be freely taught to the rest of the pet beasts. After teaching, the skill disappears. Chapter 010. It really can? Even Sumyu, at this moment, his mind was also shocked by a huge surprise at this moment. This special talent that he had reawakened was not the fierce beast he had killed, but he was able to plunder his skills. As long as it is the corpse of a dead beast, you can plunder the skill? How anti-heaven is this? Sumyu almost didn't even think about it. He directly integrated his mind into it, and in an instant, a feedback was given again in his soul. You have plundered the Wind Eagle's skill Wind Realm. Current lootable skill slots, 1/5. An unspeakable feeling derives from the depths of the soul. Sumyu now had a feeling that as long as his mind moved, he could pass on the skills of this wind realm to the rest of the pet beasts, even if that pet's rank is just ordinary. For example, his own yellow-spotted snake skin, who has awakened the power of the wind system. An ordinary fourth-order pet beast has mastered domain skills that only the Emperor level can comprehend. If this were to go out, I'm afraid that the entire Yanhuang ancient kingdom would be directly shaken, right? Thinking of this, the corners of Sumyu's mouth showed a smile. Then a voice sounded out of place. Hey, what are you doing? Don't hurry up and let go. If you let the spiritual power of the spirit wind divine eagle head fly disperse so that the rest of the pet beasts can't comprehend it, you and your garbage macular snake can't afford to lose. The voice was full of mockery and disdain. After Li Ping learned about the identity and talent of this boy from Teacher Yang on the side, he was completely relieved and finally opened his mouth to disdain. Sumyu slowly withdrew his palm and looked at this guy coldly. As a man of 2 lifetimes, he really had no interest in this matter of fighting with the little girl for the wind and jealousy, but obviously, Li Ping, who was blinded by hormones, was more and more unaccustomed to the poor boy in front of him. Boy, do you dare to look at me like this again? That's it, Li Ping, here in Grandpa Guo, do you dare to be brazen? Chen Xiao looked at Li Ping disapprovingly. This guy's thoughts, how could she not know? Instead, the old Principal Guo at the top of the group hurriedly waved his hand. It's all right, old man, I like to see you young and energetic look the most. You guys when I don't exist. Sumyu was a little speechless. This Principal Guo was really the lord who didn't think it was a big deal to see. Chen Xiao looked at Sumyu with some surprise. Sumyu, did you find anything? Or you choose first? Sumyu shook his head. The most precious thing of this fierce wind god eagle. He had already directly got his hands on it. Naturally he couldn't be insatiably greedy. Come on, that feather is indeed valuable. Maybe your fire spirit bird is so talented that you can really comprehend the rudiments of that realm. Chen Xiao smiled. If it's so easy, Xiaohong can casually comprehend a flame skill. I'm satisfied. Xiaohong, it seems that this Chen De class leader is completely on par with his own naming level. The old headmaster shot directly, and above the crown of this fierce wind eagle, the blue-red feather was directly taken off by it. This is also the most valuable thing on this fierce wind condor. Fire and wind beasts, if they are gifted, they can understand some skills from this feather? Yatiou, this thing is directly placed in your Imperial Beast space. If it is outside for a long time, the power will slowly overflow. Remember, Chen Xiao cherished and seriously included this thing in the Imperial Beast space. Li Ping, who was on the side, glanced sideways, and seemed to think of something, and suddenly glanced sideways, looking at Sumyu. Hey, do you dare to make a bet with me? Sumyu was a little helpless. No way, two handsome people, always easy to be targeted at this time. However, he really had no interest in fighting with this kind of child whose mind had just matured, so he shook his head directly. Don't dare. As soon as this remark came out, not only Li Ping, but even several school leaders who ate melon and watched the drama were stunned. It is when the young man is hot-blooded, in front of the beautiful woman, he can't lose his face by dropping his head, and this boy is a bit interesting. But Chen Xiao smirked. This smile made Li Ping's face turn red. Sumyu, are you still not a man? Sumyu looked at him like a fool, but said lightly, if you don't pick, then I'll pick first. The eyes of this fierce wind condor, Li Pingdang said, Sumyu, do you dare to fight with me? If you win, my on-campus resources can also be given to you, and you can directly pick 2 copies. If you lose, do you want to take it or take it anyway? As soon as these words came out, Sumyu's eyes suddenly lit up. Naturally, he was not willing to fight with this bloody guy. There is no good thing. He has eaten enough to support this strength. However, this guy actually took out the qualification for the reward resources in the school this time. Looking at Li Ping, Sumyu revealed a smile. Are you sure? Li Ping also showed a smile, but there was some cruelty and excitement in this smile, and he nodded, of course. Chen Xiao frowned and gently tugged at the corner of Sumyu's clothes. Sumyu, he contracted the potential of the general, and he is also a rare ghost doll of the undead ghost type, spiritual type. Not something your macular snake can handle? Spiritual class? If it had been before, he really wouldn't have done anything about it. The macular snake, a pet beast that purely relies on physical strength and does not even have attribute attacks, is almost beaten against this kind of undead. However, after last night's metamorphosis, Xiao Pai's back, the mysterious yellow-clad seal, it can be said that all the ancestors of the same level of spiritual attacks are not exaggerated. After all, the current little skin, in just 1 day's time, was directly upgraded to the ordinary 4th order. The Imperial Beast space had already healed Xiao Pai's injury, just let it come out to deal with it, but it was not impossible. Good. Sumyu ignored Chen Xiaoxio's advice, and as soon as his mind moved, the small skin of the yellow-spotted snake appeared in his hand. Compared with yesterday, Xiao Pai's body was a circle larger, and it was already the length of an arm, 2 fingers thick. However, this yellow-spotted snake that looked very different from yesterday had just appeared, and several sounds of inhaling cold air were heard with an unbelievable exclamation. It sounded together. This. How can it be?